Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
We've come together and we're here to announce a lawsuit we're filing against the United States Department of Homeland Security to end the unlawful, unprecedented surge of the federal law enforcement agents into Minnesota. Because this has to stop.
I've read both the Minnesota and Illinois lawsuits. They're really political diatribes masquerading as lawsuits. If you look at what both states are asking the courts to do, it's to kick ICE out of those states and cities and to bar ICE from carrying on federal law enforcement in Illinois and Minnesota. That's the top thing both states asked to do, and they cite zero precedent for that. There is zero precedent for that. There is no way a judge can say, you federal law enforcement agency, you are not allowed to execute federal law in a certain state or city. I think the most that the states could get out of this, if they get sympathetic judges, is a judge who's going to ask questions of ICE, who's going to hold hearings, who's going to demand questions about how they're training, how they're carrying out their policy. You also could have judges that issue sort of symbolic orders along the lines of, ICE, you are not to violate the law, but that's already the case. It's already not allowed for ICE to violate the law. So these lawsuits, which appear to be coordinated, they're potentially powerful political statements, but I don't give them much of a chance of achieving the legal thing that they're asking for in the courts.
And that was from CNN's Eli Honig. And these lawsuits, put in street parlance, punch a bull. Welcome, my friends, to the Tuesday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Fastest hour in American media. We still have ICE, Minnesota, near the top of the news cycle, but there are other stories. There's continued unrest in Iran. President Trump was due to talk with people from Iran. He canceled all of that. China is in the news. China is urging Canada to break away from the United States influence. Their Prime Minister, Carney, is over in Beijing. I hope the food is good. Hope he's having some good Chinese food while he's there. The Clintons, Bill and Hillary Clinton. That's the way some New Yorkers pronounce Clinton. Clinton. The Clintons have decided they don't want any parts of the Epstein business. So Republicans are considering contempt. Yes. The Clintons have slammed the Republican Control Committee's attempt as legally invalid. They're saying, you people, you Republicans, you're not legal. Screw you. The House Oversight Committee, and so James Comer and the Republicans on that committee are saying they're going to begin. Comer says he's going to begin contempt of Congress proceedings early next month. I used to laugh at those, but you remember under the Biden era, look what they did with Steve Bannon. Look what they did with Peter Navarro. Look what they've done to Republicans. So, I will just say that perhaps the Clintons might be, I don't know. I've long ago given up hope that they're going to be held to the same standard as everyone else. Now, in ICE news. Oh, before we get to ICE news, there's other news from the state of California, which it delights me to report, ladies and gentlemen. Gavin Newsom, who, of course, is doing his best interpretation and trying impersonation of Donald Trump by always staying active on social media. But Newsom has acknowledged that the state's proposed wealth tax is bad economics, according to a Fox News report. Newsom, Gavin, says that he feels vindicated in opposing the wealth tax after reports have shown that some of California's wealthiest people have left. Bye-bye. Goodbye. That's it. No more. I'm done. Now, the initiative has not yet, as of now, it has not qualified yet to be on the November 2026 ballot. But just the idea that it could has prompted people to leave. Who is behind it? Well, California liberals, but this Service Employees International Union, United Healthcare Workers West, have given it their blessing. What it would do is impose a 5% tax on the net worth of California residents who have assets of over $1 billion. It would just come in and say, what are your assets? Oh, we want 5% of your money. Give it up. Just on top of the taxes they already pay. Here, give up 5%. How much are you worth? We want to get our beaks wet. Pay us off. We need to spend more of your money and waste it, and we're running out of money. So they'd have to cough up 5% of their wealth in 2027, next year. Now, anybody that lives in California now that was there on January 1st, that's a billionaire, is going to be subject, if this thing passes and if California voters say, yeah, let's do it, any billionaire in California that's there right now, hasn't fled the state, is going to cough up their money. People have left. Newsom says the evidence is in, the impacts are very real, not just substantive economic impacts in terms of revenue, but startups. The indirect impacts of people questioning long-term commitments, medium-term commitments. He says, California, that's not what we need right now. But Oracle chairman Larry Ellison sold his San Francisco mansion, $45 million, took the money, got out of state. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Also, others. Google co-founder Sergey Brin, venture capitalist Peter Thiel. They've shifted some of their business operations out of California. We're getting out of here. Also, Larry Page, the Google co-founder, he split. He purchased 2 Miami properties, bringing all that tax loot to Florida. $73.4 million he purchased for 2 properties in Florida. Got out of Dodge. And I hope that they're just a long list. And by the way, when Democrats say something is going to be one time, we just want 5% of your money, but it's just one time. It's just one. We're only going to reach in your pocket and grab 5% of your money just because you're here and you have money. Anybody that believes that this would just be one time, you don't know Democrats. One of the chief laws in dealing with Democrats is to remember something. They lie. They lie about everything. They do not tell you the truth. So, this was only the beginning of taxing wealth. And if they got away with it, if they get away with this, other Democrats are looking, they're sitting on the sidelines watching like vultures sitting on a tree, waiting for the body to croak. That's what Democrats are doing, looking at this from the sidelines. They're circling like buzzards. They're circling to see if they can poke their beaks into billionaire money. Because if this thing goes off in California and it's deemed a success some kind of way, other Democrats are going to follow suit. What, Carlos? What would you say there, Carlos?
Are you saying everybody's leaving? How is it a success?
Well, if enough of them stay, that the state can still go afloat. Because there are some liberals who feel guilty for being rich. They're like, oh, we're rich, and okay, we don't mind paying 5% more. That's not most people. Most people who earn their money are appalled by this. And this is a tax on wealth. So some of these people didn't have to earn the money. They just have the assets because it was handed to them. They inherited it. Somebody else's money. They divorced a multi-billionaire, and came up with $1 billion. But they're liberal, and they like the idea that they should pay more because they feel guilty. So enough of that. And I don't really know that. I'm just surmising it. But if enough of them stay in California, then some liberals will say, see, we're okay. And then the other buzzards that are circling around on the sideline, the Democrat vulture buzzards, will say, see, that worked. Now we can go grab billionaire money just for being billionaires. It's kind of like what they're proposing in New York, with this tax the rich incessant nonsense. Let the rich pay for the free bus rides. Let the rich pay for the free daycare. So we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. But even Gavin Newsom doesn't like it. He knows. See, rich people don't have the same problems you and I have, Carlos, or many other people in this listening audience. The the uber rich. If we were going to move away, it's a heartache. We got to figure out a whole bunch of things to move. Everything's got to be timed right. Got to have enough money to do. How are we going to pull this off? How do we move? You have those kind of buckages. Let's move. We don't have to pack anything ourselves. We don't have to pack our stuff up from the left. Call the movers. Have them pack everything. We're going on vacation. When we come back, we want the new house set up. We'll have the servants do it. Yes, hey, anyway. And I'm not complaining about rich people. I love rich people. The uber rich, too. Especially those that earn their money. Have nothing but respect for them. That's the American dream. Have some money. Have a good time. Have a good life. That's part of the American dream.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
One thing that hating men has trained me for is literally trained me for chasing ice cars off of my street. 5 of them right now. Following them down the neighborhood, honking, blowing whistles, telling them to fuck off. All that rage that I have felt towards men is coming out. I have been trained for this moment, bitch. I will follow you everywhere.
I'm telling you, I think we ought to just do a documentary. Maybe we should do this. Carlos, all these videos we played from these liberal women, we need to just go back and get them. We need to just do a whole documentary, just called Show on Liberal Women. They're remarkable. There is reportage today, ladies and gentlemen, in the Los Angeles Times. Here's the headline. It's going to upset some of you. I suggest if you have a weak stomach, take a seat. This is not going to be good news. Anti-ICE protester blinded by federal agent during demonstration in Santa Ana. Family says a young protester narrowly avoided being killed, but was left permanently blind after a Department of Homeland Security agent fired a non-lethal round at close range during a Santa Ana protest last week, according to the family of the victim. Jerry Reese said her 21-year-old nephew underwent 6 hours of surgery, and the doctors found shards of plastic, glass, and metal embedded in his eyes and around his face, including a metal piece lodged 7 millimeters away from a carotid artery. That could have cost him his life. For the next 6 weeks, he can't sneeze or cough because it could do a lot of damage.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are considering going out to dinner tonight or any other night this week, before you decide, please listen to this.
I don't know. I think if you voted for him and you're like such a fan that you're wearing his merch out in public, like just like all over your body, I don't think you get to go to the sushi restaurant. I don't think you get to go to the Mexican restaurant. I don't think you get to participate in Cinco de Mayo. I don't want to see you with a little sombrero over your head. I just don't think that's for you anymore. That's not the world that you want. That's not the country you want to live in. My husband and I went to sushi tonight. We're sitting there, we're having a good time, and then in comes big old Trump, like head to toe Trump supporter. I'm sitting there like eating. I look up and the guy's just like glaring at me. Why are you here? That's just what I want to know. Like, why are you even here? Like, if you had your way, do you think this restaurant would be open? No. I think for you, you get like maybe delis. I don't know, like sandwiches, burgers, sure. Fries, probably. I don't think you get to enjoy the melting pot that is the United States. I think you just get, I don't know what's left, German food, something like that. Maybe go find some historically white food somewhere. But I don't think you get to go to sushi, the Mexican place. Chicago's got a great Indian food scene. Don't get to go there. Like none of that. None of that. That's not for you anymore. You don't get to go there. Thank you. Goodbye. I don't know.
Yeah, I was talking about that story in L.A. Oh, it's not a funny story. Okay, so I mistakenly said, let me correct it now, that the ICE agents there were arresting an illegal immigrant. No, they were arresting some of these protesters. The protesters were throwing things at the ICE agents. Videos. This happened on Friday. And why were they protesting ICE agents? Over what happened in Minnesota. So they go out, they're going to harass ICE agents. Several videos shared on social media show demonstrators protesting the fatal shooting in Minnesota of Renee Good, throwing orange safety cones at agents who were standing outside, at federal agents who were standing outside the Santa Ana federal building. So these protesters show up, as the LA Times calls them, protesters, and start throwing stuff at federal agents. Then the videos cut to 3 agents approaching the group that are throwing things at them. One of the agents then tries to take one of these people throwing things at the feds into custody. And the way that LA Times says this, listen to this. The video cuts to 3 agents approaching the group before one agent tries to take a young person into custody. They're always something. A mother, a father, like Gilberry, what is his name? Maryland guy. Kilmar. The Maryland father. Renee Good, the mother of 3. And this one, the young person. They always try to put them in some sympathetic role. They were criminals. throwing things at law enforcement agencies. So, then 3 of the demonstrators decided to intervene. At that point, they are committing a criminal act. They are trying to intervene in an arrest. So, one of the agents then, after the 3 demonstrate, remember, they're all throwing things at federal agents. The federal agents say, okay, enough of this, we're going to arrest one, and then 3 of them start interfering with that, trying to stop the arrest. Criminal behavior. In one of the videos, at least one agent appears to fire non-lethal rounds at the crowd. He hit one woman in the leg before aiming and striking a protester in the face. That video shows the person dropping to the ground after being shot, holding their face as the crowd retreats. A crowd of them. The same agent then drags the protester by the hood of their jacket. They appear to be choking, grasping at the jacket, binding their neck as blood pours from their left eye. Now, the woman, Miss Reyes, Jerry Reyes, whose 21-year-old nephew underwent 6 hours of surgery for the eye, says the doctors didn't want to move the shrapnel near the artery out of fear it could kill him. She said that her nephew, who was transitioning and goes by the pronoun he, also suffered a fractured skull around his eyes and nose, and the doctors said he had permanently lost the vision in his left eye. She claims, Ms. Reyes, that other officers were mocking him, saying, "You're going to lose your eye." Friday's violent clash occurred just 2 days after federal immigration agents fatally shot Renee Good. Byron, my man Byron got a chance to speak with, during congressional hearings, Governor Walz. And I got to tell you, Byron, you've done well. You did very well. Cut 10, this is Byron Donalds during his time with Governor Walz.
Is it the responsibility of ICE to actually deport illegal aliens in the United States who are here? Isn't that their responsibility?
Yes, it is, Congressman, except that the Constitution is not an inconvenience. It's not an either-or.
Nobody said an inconvenience. You have a responsibility to deport illegal aliens, and the president is going through that process right now. And let's be very clear, the previous administration, they abused every process there is under border laws to allow more than 10 million people into the country illegally. And this is a burden on all Americans. And so the president is doing his job. So it is sick to refer to Americans who are ICE agents as Gestapo. Governor, you're wrong. You need to apologize to these agents. They're doing their jobs. They are Americans. They serve this country with honor and decency and respect. Do not diminish their work simply because you tried to make a cheap point that you could tweet. I yield back.
Boom. Supreme Court. We'll have more on this. We have more, but I want to get to the Supreme Court. We have a lot more on the immigration story. Supreme Court. Today, the headlines coming after the Supreme Court case, looks like the Supreme Court was not sympathetic to the argument that the bans on transgenders playing in female sports should be lifted. Here is, let's see which, Supreme Court appears skeptical of arguments against bans of trans athletes. They heard arguments on whether bans in 2 states on trans athletes competing in women's sports violate the Constitution's Equal Protection Clause. All the reporting from this, I think this was from the LA Times, but all the reporting is the same. All these justices seem skeptical. Here are we got 2. Now, I have to apologize in advance if one of these puts you to sleep, because trying to follow a certain justice in the court is very difficult. But this is Alito. Let's go to cut one. Alito with arguing against the bans is Kathleen Harnett. And cut 11, this was from the Supreme Court session earlier today.
Interest.
Well, how can a court determine whether there's discrimination on the basis of sex without knowing what sex means for equal protection purposes?
I think here we just know that we basically know that that they've identified pursuant to their own statute, Lindsay qualifies as a birth sex male, and she's being excluded categorically from the women's teams as the statute. So we're taking the statute's definitions as we find them, and we don't dispute them. We're just trying to figure out, do they create an equal protection problem?
All right, suppose this school that has a boys, let's say, track team and a girls track team. The school has that. And a student who has the genes and the reproductive system of a male and had those at birth and has never taken puberty blockers, never taken female hormones, never had any gender-altering or affirming surgery, says, nevertheless, I am a woman. That's who I am. Can the school say, no, you cannot participate on the girls' team?
So you're just a birth sex male who has all the advantages of birth sex male hormones, and can the school bar him from the women's team? Yes, they can.
But is that person not a woman in your understanding? If the person says, I sincerely believe I am a woman, I am in fact a woman. Is that person not a woman?
I would respect their self-identity in addressing the person.
Alito blew apart the whole case with that one. So just because you think you're a woman, does that make you a woman? Anyway, here's the second bite that we have. We have another one from Alito, but time is short. Folks, you'll just have to bear with us here. I'm not trying to torture you. Cut number 13. It is Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Classification. And so to the extent that you have an individual who says what is happening in this law is that it is treating someone who is transgender but who does not have, because of the medical interventions and the things that have been done, who does not have the same threat to physical competition and safety and all of the reasons that the state puts forward, that's actually a different class, says this individual. So you're not treating the class the same, and you're not. How do you respond to that? In other words, the as-applied challenge essentially redefines the class, or one could think of it as that. And so what's wrong with that, number one, and how do you square that with our holdings in Caban, which Lair later described in this way? In other words, Lair suggested that Caban was establishing that as-applied challenges of this nature do exist.
Certainly, take the second question first.
Yes.
Caban says nothing about as-applied. I know that Lair says later this was an as-applied case. But
excuse me, he's having to school the Supreme Court justice here. I'm just
going to... I understand, but those two cases were in juxtaposition with one another, and Lair comes out the way it does, distinguishing Caban.
I'm going to stop here, folks. Nobody's following this. I'm not even following it. I'll just go back to Miss Jackson, Justice Jackson, from from her hearings at some point, when she was asked if she could define what a woman was. And we all know how that turned out. Break time, ladies and gentlemen.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
One of the things that Princess Diana said on Saturday, she was giving advice to people, the economy showing signs that it's booming, as she predicted would happen in a year's time. And she also said that young people ought to get their resumes dusted up. People, just get your resumes dusted up. Get ready to participate in the economy. It's going to be booming. She suggested to some young people, maybe you should forget about going in debt with college and just get out in the workforce. I hope to talk to her more about that on this coming Saturday. So, we rarely dedicate sound bites to anybody. But this sound bite from this young woman, I want to dedicate to our very own Princess Diana.
Guys, I up so bad because I just spent over $250,000 on a degree in philosophy, and I didn't realize that there were not jobs for that. Like, no one is willing to pay me to sit in an apple orchard. No one is willing to pay me for my thoughts on what things do when they move. So I don't know what to do.
Close that door. We're leaving today with the music of Teddy Pendergrass. Teddy passed away on this day in 2010. He's 59 years old. Many of you know he spent the last years of his life in a wheelchair, paralyzed after a car accident. Still recording, still making great music. Many people first heard of Teddy when he came to attention with Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. It became Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes featuring Teddy Pendergrass. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones.
I've waited all day long.
I bid you adieu. Bye.
And just exactly like I thought it would be.
Thanks for listening to The James Golden Show. You can hear The James Golden Show Saturday mornings at 7. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.